Gather round, kids. It's story time. A story about retro video games, older movies, and an old man. Wait, that didn't sound right. Well, I'm Mondane, and this is the oldest retro gamer.
What is up, everybody? Chris here. Back for part 2 of the Sony PSP video game collection live streams for 2023. Last week, I went up to, what was it? Lord of the Rings Tactics, and I'm going to continue from there. Did add some new games to the collection this past weekend when I went to Mo Game Con. I don't think any of them fit into the rest of my collection. The rest of them are pre where I ended last week, I do believe. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be talking about any of the new stuff tonight, which kind of stinks. But whatever, I talked about them on Monday in my recap of Mo Game Con, which was awesome. Well, the entire weekend was awesome. The convention itself left a little bit to be desired. It was kind of a cluster. But lots of games were got. If you want to see what I got, check my Facebook page, my Twitter feed, or my Instagram page. Pictures there. Or if you want to watch the video, check out the recent pickups from July 2023. You will see everything that I picked up, including the new PSP games, which I will not be talking about tonight. So let's get into it. First game is Lunar Silver Star Harmony. Got this for, I do believe, $3. Like, when I got back into collecting, I was trying to get as many games as I possibly could, as fast as I could, as cheaply as I could. And for some reason, like stuff like Lunar, which I would assume now is probably more of an expensive game, There were brand new copies on Amazon going for dirt cheap, and I bought every single one that I had or that I could find. Let's put it like that. I bought like stacks of stuff, even though I did not even have a PSP at the time. Luckily, a few months after I got back into collecting, one of my coworkers gave me her ex-husband's Star Wars model PSP, the second model, and I've been playing it nonstop. Well, I've been playing nonstop, but I've been using it ever since. And wanted to get this into my collection, not only because it was cheap, but also because huge fan of the Sega CD Lunar game. This is a reimagining, quote unquote, of it. It has a lot of the same. I think it's the exact same game. It's just the graphics have been tweaked. It's been cleaned up a little bit. And as you can see, it is still sealed. So I have not actually played this one, but being a huge fan of the franchise, I had to own that one. Next up is Modified Air Combat Heroes. Picked this one up because Metal Jesus talked about it in a video. And back when I first got back into collecting, Mega Jesus? Yeah, Mega Jesus. So big. Metal Jesus was like the person whose advice I took the most. I would say with Pete Dorr, a close second. But anything like Metal Jesus was recommending in those Hidden Gems videos of his, I was usually like, oh, cool. I should probably look out for that. And not too long after he did his PSP Hidden Gems video, where he did mention this one, I found a copy of my own. I do believe this was at that disc replay joint that is no longer in operation by me. But it's an aerial dogfight type of game. He made it sound like it was an aerial like an airplane racing game. But no, it's dogfight. It's like a more arcadey version of, like, say, Afterburner. But the thing is, you can modify your plane. You can like get money and parts, and you can modify your aircraft to give it better weapons, more speed, better handling, that sort of thing. And it's actually not too bad. The graphics are pretty fantastic, and it controls pretty well, which I remember from back in the day. And it's just kind of funny to me that some of the planes, especially that one that's right in your face right there on the right, looks like the plane from Stealth, the movie Stealth. The movie was a bomb. Why would you want to model your plane on your video game after a movie that bombed? I don't know, but who knows? Who cares? Anyway, how's everybody doing tonight? Who we got in the audience? Watching at home on the computer. Say hi, let me know you're here. Next up is a RPG that I picked up, I do believe at that disc replay as well. That is Mana Chemia Students Alliance. And I remember picking this up because it vaguely resembled those Atelier games that I was getting into on the PS3. And it might be part of the series. I'm not sure, because it does feature like you're an alchemist, kind of like those games. But I've never played it because RPG. These take a lot of time to play, to get into, and time is something I just don't have. I'm not a teenager anymore. I don't just sit at home all day during the summer doing absolutely nothing. I got a job to go to. I got an RPG to play in. Boing. Taking notes in case you see something you want. You might be seeing a lot, because this is the rest of my collection. There's a lot of cool stuff coming up, I'll tell you that. Yeah. Anyway, I'm a little tired. Therefore, I'm going to be a little loopy tonight. Did not get a lot of sleep last night, so things will happen. I've already mispronounced a few things. I called Metal Jesus Mega Jesus, so why not? Anyway, common game, me and Mike Katamari. I don't remember if this is like part 2 or 3 in the franchise, but I absolutely love the Katamari games. I think they're super fun, quirky. The music is really catchy. It's like a brainworm or an earworm. It gets stuck in your head like the moment you hear it, especially the theme. But I never thought in a million years I would enjoy a game like this, like the original game that came out on the PS2. But here we are, it's 2023, and there's still games coming out in this franchise. So they know something's up. I mean, come on. But super fun game. You play as a little prince from space who has like a little sticky ball that he rolls all over the place, picking up things that are smaller than the ball, but the bigger the ball gets, the bigger things he can pick up, more points he gets, and he can make a star. Silly, goofy. The dialogue in it is ridiculous, but they're entertaining as all hell. Next up, we have Medal of Honor Heroes and Heroes. Whoop, that's backwards. Oh no! Don't go into the light! Ow. That's my hat hitting the microphone. Don't do that. Let's start again, shall we? We've got Medal of Honor Heroes and Medal of Honor Heroes 2. So these are first-person shooters. I don't think these are ports of anything that came out on a home console. I do believe these are made specifically for the PSP. And I played the first one a little bit, and it's a pretty decent first-person shooter. Like I've said, or at least I said last week when I did the first stream for the PSP, that first-person shooters are a little weird on the PSP because you don't have two thumbsticks like you do on a PlayStation 2 or an Xbox controller or whatever. You just have like the one little pseudo thumbstick thing on the left, and you usually have to use the X, circle, square, and triangle buttons to move while you aim with the left thumbstick, and it's kind of clunky. It's very old school, what you used to have to use on the original PlayStation when it came to first-person shooters, so kind of having gotten used to the new style where you're using the two thumbsticks and having to go back to that old style, it takes a little getting used to, but it's not terrible. But I have not played the second one because I still haven't beaten the first one. But you can see they are pretty close to what you would see on the PS2, I would say. The first one was pretty cool. I always love a good first-person shooter, but at the same time, I was really getting sick of the World War II first-person shooters. They just kind of, at that point, I thought they were kind of played out. I'm like, can we just move on to something different? And then we got Modern Warfare, and it was like everything changed after that. Even when we did Modern Warfare, and then we went back to World War II with, what's it called, World at War. I didn't even buy that one back in the day because I was like, why do I want to go back to World War II? And we got this awesomeness happening right here. So next up is Medieval Resurrection. I do believe this is considered, is this Medieval 3? Because we had Medieval 1 and 2 on the PlayStation 1. I'm not sure if this is a sidequel or a remake or what, since I've never played the original. But it's a 3D beat-em-up where you're playing as this undead soldier. And I remember everybody telling me that it was pretty rad. So I have all of the games in this franchise now. I have the first two for the PS1, I have the remake for the PS4, and this. I don't think there's anything else going on with this franchise. So, got that. Picked which one of these up? I picked this one up at Midwest Gaming Classic this year in April. That is Mega Man Maverick Hunter X. I guess that's how you say it. Is it Maverick Metal or Mega Man X Maverick? Oh my God, I am burping like you would not believe. I think it's Mega Man X Maverick Hunter. I think that's the way. Because I do believe this is a remake of Mega Man X. I still have not played this. I just got this in April. Yeah, I think it's a remake of the first Mega Man X game. Better graphics, upgraded graphics. But it's still a 2D side-scrolling game, which is cool. But the one I have played is Mega Man Powered Up. And this one is like a chibi version of, I do believe it was the first. What was this one? I don't think this is a remake. It has been a while since I played this, though. For the first time ever, play as any of the powerful bosses, take control and build and explore your own levels. Oh, I got to make my own levels in this too. I don't remember that. Whatever. Super chibi Mega Man game. Sure, why not? These, I had the first one back in the day, but I never really put a lot of time into it because it was kind of weird. But we have Metal Gear Acid and Metal Gear Acid 2. And is this the one that comes with the thing? Yes, it is. I had to buy it separately because the version that I bought did not come with the thing. So Metal Gear Acid is the one where it's a like a card battling game, I do believe. Or is that Portable Ops? I think Portable Ops is the actual. Yeah. I think these are the card games. Yeah, these are the card games. There's so many Metal Gear games on this damn console. It's hard to keep track of what's what. So yeah, Metal Gear Acid is like playing like the Pokemon card game or Magic or something like that. But you do have levels where you're running around and all that kind of stuff. And then when you fight, you do like a card battle. Yippee skippy. I remember the backlash that this got when it came out. Everyone was like, what the hell? Give me I want my old Metal Gear Solid, not hashtag not my Metal Gear kind of thing. But, you know, God forbid they try to do something different, but they ended up going in the direction everybody wanted them to. And then you've got the second one, which is more of the same, and you can actually see some of the cards, especially like right there. You can see one of the cards in action. But the thing about this one is, you can see it here too, it is also in 3D. And I remember when I bought this, my buddy Church, the game grinder, is a huge Metal Gear fan. He has like a little shrine in his place. I bought figures from him when I found them out in the wild because he wants to have everything Metal Gear in his collection. And when I sent him the picture, I was like, oh, I just picked up Metal Gear Acid, 2. And he goes, does it have the 3D glasses? I'm like, 3D what? And sure enough, this game was in 3D, and you had to have these special glasses in order to play it. And I ended up buying them separately. So here they are, the 3D glasses, and I don't recall how you're supposed to set this up. Does this fit over the PSP? And you look at it through the little eye holes? I think that's what you do. I think you put this over the PSP. This holds it in place, and you look through it while you're playing. That is stupid. I have not tried it, but I can't imagine it being great for your eyes because the holes are super small. But anyway, it's an interesting take on Metal Gear. And then we have the ones that are like what the people wanted back in the day. So we got Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, which is a new game in the franchise. It's not a remake or anything like that. It's an old little side story. Even on the PlayStation 3, what is it? The Legacy Collection or whatever. Like, these are like in there. Yeah, I know, right? But this is a standard Metal Gear Solid game. It's just a new side story type of thing. Haven't actually played this. Probably because I still haven't beaten Metal Gear Solid 3 because I'm a dope and I did not like it. But I still need to go back and play it. And then we have Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops Plus. There's actually just standard Portable Ops, and there's Portable Ops Plus. Not really sure. Well, I'm sure it'll tell me on the back here. Is a standalone addition to the award-winning title of the same name. So this is like add-on, focusing on portable multiplayer experiences. Players will be able to enjoy more maps, more missions, and recruit a talented crew of war heroes for battling real opponents in online arenas. I don't do the online thing, and I seriously doubt this is going to be able to be played on a PSP online nowadays. But I need to get the original Portable Ops in the collection just so I can say I have all of the ones on the PSP. This one I picked up because it was dirt freaking cheap, and I think the movie's decent. It's not great, but I thought the idea of a game based on this was kind of cool. And that is Miami Vice. The movie, I think, came out in 2006, I want to say. I remember I saw it opening day, and it was like, I remember watching it going like, okay, did not expect it to go that dark. It's really damn long, and a little bit boring at times. And then find out like years and years down the line that there was a video game based on it released on this console, and only this console. But it is a third-person cover-based shooter. I don't know if it really has anything to do with the film itself. It just says, road cops and players become one in the dangerous universe of Miami Vice. Set in today's Miami, the game lets you go deep undercover as narc officers Sonny Crockett and Ricardo Tubbs. Build your rep as a criminal player and infiltrate the seedy underbelly of South Beach. Lock and load for shootouts with violent criminals. Pilot heist. My eyesight, guys. Pilot high-speed boats through Miami's treacherous waterways. Bribe shifty informers. I almost thought that said shitty. informants as you trade in drugs, arms, and cash, bring down almost untouchable South American drug lords, and co-op play via Wi-Fi. But I do know it was a third-person cover-based shooter because that's all it looks like on the back. And there's also some boat racing. So, yay! But it's by Sierra, or it was released by Sierra. It's probably not terrible, but it's probably not great either. This one I have played at great length because I had this one back in the day, and I remember playing it whenever we would go to Ohio. When I go to Ohio with my family, we'd all go together. And I'd play this in the car because I'm obsessed with this franchise, and that is Mortal Kombat Unchained. And this is a port of, which one is it? I can never remember because I'm not that big of a fan of the PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube era of Mortal Kombat games. Like, it started with 4, not really liking, well, I didn't even really like 3. But like 3 I thought was 4 I really didn't like, and then 5, 6, and 7 I would play them, but I was not a big fan because I did not like the way the 3D worked. And I was so thrilled when they did Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, and they went back to 2D. But this one, I do believe, is Deception. But it is a port of Deception on the console. Yeah, I should know because it's got that shot of Baraka on here. That's from the cover of Deception, or one of the covers of Deception. It even has all of the little side game things you can do, like Conquest Mode, Chess Combat, and Puzzle Combat. But even though I was not a big fan of the games in this era, playing it on the go was the coolest thing ever. And I remember like having my brother go like, watch this, and I'd pull off some combo or some weird finisher, and my brother would be like, oh, that's cool. But had to have it. Had to get it back in the collection. Do I now? Do I have the Android installed? I don't recall. You're going to have to wait for me to start doing these all over again so I can get back to the Sega CD streams. Sorry. What's up, Neo Genesis? Had to get this in the collection because I love the PS3 game, and that is Motorsport Arctic Edge. I don't think there is an Arctic Edge game on the PS3, but I love the Motor Storm games on the PS3. And it's an arcadey racing game, but the physics are kind of... It's very arcadey, like the vehicles and all that are kind of weird, but like the physics are very, like, I want to say, based in real life. It's kind of strange the way it works. Like, it's trying to be like Twisted Metal without the combat. It's just kind of like the weird looking cars and stuff, like things that you would not see racing, but it tries to be realistic with the physics. So it's kind of like this weird combo. But I always thought it was fun. I really enjoyed the ones on the PS3. So naturally, when I found out that there was one on the PSP, to be able to play that on the go and have it actually not look too far off from what the PS3 games look like is kind of a bonus. But fun franchise. I like it. I wish it would make a comeback on the PS5 or something, because that would be awesome. And my shirt is like pulling up. Here's a funny one. I found this at Game Dude, and the sticker is still in here. Had to get this because movie fan. I like the movie, and I was curious about what a game based on this film would be like. And that is Napoleon Dynamite the game. Sweet. It's just a bunch of mini games with like chibi versions of the characters. It has like a big picture of the actor like on the head, and then it's like a CGI body. But I think it does say what kind of stuff you do. I can't even read that. Nope. Dodgeball is one of them. I can kind of see that. I'm pretty sure dancing is one of them because that was a huge thing in the game. But absolutely had to have this because the movie cracks me up. I was curious about what the game would be like, and it was dirt cheap when I got it at Game Dude. So naturally had to have it. What's up, Cap? Next up we have... I played the arcade version of this at Mo Game Con at Two Plumbers. I played it, and it was a two-player co-op game, and I played on the right side of it, and the right side controls were busted, and I could not do certain things that you needed to do in order to play the game properly. So that was a bust. But we're talking Outrun 2006, Coast to Coast. I was playing in the right driver's seat, and the brake pedal didn't work. Only the gas, and I could not drift to save my life. And I chose the heart attack mode, which is all about impressing the girl that is driving in the car with you by doing crazy, like, not stunts, but like you have to like drive nutty and like drive super close to other cars and drift a lot in order to get hearts from her. And by the time you reach the finish line, they count up your hearts and you get points. I had absolutely 0 hearts when I finished that game that night because I couldn't drift at all, which sucked. But it's a really cool update to the old arcade game. It has a bunch of different modes. Like I said, heart attack mode. God, I can't even read this. Premium, unlockable content, whatever. It's a really fun racing game, arcadey as hell, and it is amazing. And there's a version of this available on the home consoles as well. I highly recommend it. Next up, we have the trilogy, the triumvirate, the trinity of the Patapon, Patapon 2, and Patapon 3. So I love me a good rhythm game, and this is kind of like a rhythm action game, if that makes any sense. Give me some of your talk. My lips hurt real bad. So you play as these little weird-looking tribesmen. Everything's in shadow. Every character is like black against a colored background. And it's kind of a cool art style. I do enjoy it. And then whenever you do something, you'll see like a word pop up over your head. So certain buttons on the controller of the PSP activate like a saying, and you have to do it in rhythm. And each game is like that. If you want to attack, you have to do a certain thing. Like it's like pawn, pata, and some other word I cannot remember what. Like you have to do combinations of these words in order to make them attack, or to jump, or to retreat, or whatever. So like to attack, it's like pawn, pawn, pata, pawn, and they'll start like throwing their weapons and stuff. And it's really, really fun. And it takes a while to get used to remembering. Well, it takes a while to remember all the different command combinations and all that, but remembering which button is what word is what kind of got me. But it's a different take on a rhythm game, and I really appreciated that. And my third game is still sealed. But I had the original, the OG, back in the day for my PSP in the mid-2000s, and I played it a ton. I love me a good rhythm game. And those are no exception. Peter! Kenna loves UMDs. Don't we all? So did you get your new car yet, Peter? Or are you waiting? Break the seal tonight? Nah. Not breaking the seal is what got me a certain game at Mo Game Con. You know what I'm saying? You're welcome, Internet. Had to get this because I was under the assumption that this was just a straight port of the console versions of the game. Turns out it is not. I don't recall if it was Metal Jesus or somebody else who brought this up. I think it was Metal Jesus who brought this up. I think he was talking about like first-person shooters on the PSP in one of his videos or something, and I was like, "Oh, really? That's a thing? Okay." Working on the bike, and the console version of this game is like a 3D platformer action beat 'em up style game, but the PSP version is a first-person shooter. And you know me, my first-person shooters and licensed games, and that's King Kong. I did not realize that this was not a straight port. It is actually a first-person shooter, based on the movie, which is kind of awesome. So you get to shoot T-Rexes and all that kind of good stuff. I think it's actually kind of rad that they decided to change it up for the portable version, instead of having every console get the exact same game. So had to have that. And it was dirt cheap. Not breaking the seals what got me to buy Captain Game. See? Sometimes it works out in your favor. And I do see that I do have a number of games on the PSP that are still sealed next year. Anyway, I had to have this because I love the franchise, and I love the franchise, and I love the type of game that this is. That is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest. I'm a big fan of the films. Not the fourth one. No. But this is a 3D beat 'em up where you're playing as Jack Sparrow, and you're going through the events of the movie. There's even some, as you can see, fights at sea with the boats doing the, what do they call it? The side swipe? Not the side swipe. The, what do they call it? Broadside. Boat warfare. I am not getting my words working to me. See? Even I can't even get that sentence out. No sleep. But anyway, I had played the third the game based on the third film on the Xbox 360. And I thought it was really fun, even though it was very repetitive. Beat 'em ups usually are. Did not realize that we had gotten games based on the second movie anywhere until I got back into collecting. And I think I picked this one up while I was hunting with Rocket Sauce in Wisconsin, like maybe last year. So super thrilled to have that. I've always said Caribbean. I know other people say Caribbean, but I've always said Caribbean. Everyone in my family's always said Caribbean. This one I learned about because of Nintendo. This might be one of those games, TJ. You never seen the fourth film? The fourth film was awful, I thought. First one I like. I just saw that in the theater actually last month. Disney, because it's Disney's 100th anniversary this year. At least around me at the theaters, every Saturday night they're playing like one of their older movies. So was it in July? Was it in July? Yeah, it was in July. Every Saturday it was an animated film, except for the first weekend where they were playing Pirates of the Caribbean, and we went. And I hadn't seen it in probably like 15 years, and I was like, "This is still fun." I like the second one. I like the third one. The fourth one was just like a big WTF, where it was just dumb. And then the one that everybody like had written off was the fifth one, and that's the one I really liked. I like that one more than the second and third. Don't think we're getting another one, but it's probably good that it ends. But anyway, Nintendo talked about this in one of his pickup videos, and I was like, what's this now? And it's a shmup, and I knew nothing about it. And the thing about it that made me want to have it is the style that it's done in, and that is Platypus. It's done in claymation, and as you can see on the cover there. And when he said that, I was like, oh, I needs it. It is a side-scrolling shmup, but everything is done in claymation, like, Clay Fighters and all that kind of, Skull Monkeys. And it is really fun. It is a really fun shooter. And I had no clue this existed until he brought it up. And he said that he didn't even really know it existed until he found it at a garage sale or something. So, absolutely thrilled that, like, right after he talked about in this video, I went immediately to eBay and I found a really cheap copy of it. So, I was happy to get it. I've never seen a copy before I bought that one, and I have not seen one since. They come alive at night. You don't turn 100 by being nice, no shit. After some of the stuff these studio heads have been saying during the strike, I would not be surprised if people don't want to work for them anymore. The studios need the actors more than the actors need the studios. They can always make independent films. I picked this one up during... Okay, so I've brought this up a lot. When I first got back into collecting, I found this dude on Amazon who was selling everything for a penny. Got PS2 games and a bunch of PSP games, and this was one. Is Pixel Junk Monsters Deluxe. I do believe this was like one of those games you can download on like the PS3. It was like one of the free games you got when you bought the system or whatever. That was available on the PS Store. And it's a tower defense game. And I have not played it because it is still sealed, because I got this for a penny and I was just kind of like, whatever, add it to the collection so you have stuff. But have not played it yet. But I know people, I mean, it's gotten multiple ports to other consoles, so can't be bad, can it? Platypus is still cheap. It is super fun. I need to get something down from above because of one of these games. There you are. Come to Papa. Come here. Do it now. Come on. There we go. So I picked this one up at my new local retro shop, and he had it in the not so expensive case that's like in the middle of the store. And I was like, oh, hey, I have the second game in that franchise. Can I have that, please? And it was not expensive. This was like $35. And it is Prinny. Can I really be the hero? Apparently Prinny, this little penguin, is the mascot for NIS America, because every time I get an email from them talking about some sale they're having or whatever, it's like the Prinny cast or the Prinny something. Prinny's in the title of the emails I always get. And I do believe this is a side-scrolling beat-em-up of some sort, or like a platformer. I have not played it yet, surprisingly. But the thing is, the version that I got was the one that comes with the oversized outer box. Because this is the, I do believe, limited I do believe this is a limited edition, I think. And what does it come with that makes it limited? Other than the big box. It comes with the soundtrack. And I have the hiccups now. On CD. Yay. Haven't even listened to that. I should probably rip it so we can have it for next year's trip to Mo Game Con so we can listen to even more video game music. Anyway. But yeah, it looks okay. I honestly, back when the PSP was still the console, why am I putting it back in here? It's going to go on my shelf. I'm dumb. Like I said, I have not had a lot of sleep. Anyway, I'd never heard of this franchise back when the PSP was a thing. So, like, finding the second game of the franchise, I was kind of like, oh, okay, so I might as well talk about that now. So I found this one first, and this is pretty... this is the coolest subtitle in the history of subtitles. Dawn of Operation Panties, dude. Sure. Yeah, I found this at my local, or the disc replay that I used to go to before they shut down. And I just like, I have to have it just for that subtitle alone. But by the way, what the hell is Prinny? So eventually I came across the first one. Still haven't played them, but it looks like a platformer. So yay. These I have played at great length. You think you have the Prinny game? Do it. Video game music for every road trip. Yes. What's up, man? Boy Cave, how's it going? So I hope everybody sticks around to the end because we're going to have a talk. Talk. We got to have some real talk. This is one of the games I picked up when I had my PSP back in the mid-2000s. I read a review of this, and I can't remember if it was a magazine or online somewhere, but I was like, that sounds awesome. I need that in my life. And I played the crap out of this, usually when I was taking a crap. But that's Pursuit Force. So this is an action game. I don't know how to categorize it because you're on foot, but you're never really on foot because what you're doing is you're a cop and you're hopping from car to car while you're on the highway and you're going after a bad guy in another car. And in order to get to that bad guy, you have to jump from car to car in order to get to him. And it is super crazy gonzo action. It is super fun. And then once you get to that car, you have to have like a little beat 'em up shooting action going on. It is super cool. I absolutely loved this game. It is the epitome of fun. I played this so much. I probably wore the damn disc out if that was even possible. But I never really heard anyone talking about that game back in the day. All the people that I knew that had a PSP, I was the only person who had a copy of that one. But apparently it's popular enough to get a sequel. So we got Extreme Justice, which is more of the same, just crazier and with better graphics and a little bit better control and some crazier vehicles you can utilize. So hell yeah. Absolutely love this series. I wish we could get it to make a comeback. I was actually hoping when the Vita came out that we would get a third game in that franchise. I was hoping, I was praying, I was like, please let us have it. Never happened. Boo. Don't forget the like button. Now, who bought this thing? I see this charge on my bill, man, boy K, for $3,000. Who bought the damn 4K television? We already have 3 of them. Anyway, Ratchet and Clank size matters. So I have not tried this one yet, but one of my goals was to get all of the Ratchet and Clank games, and I think all I really need is one more. And it was a game that was released digitally in the US. It's available overseas on the PS3. I need to get that. I think I have everything. But this is just, I do believe, a port. Is this a port of one of the PS2 games? There are so many games in this series. I can never remember what the titles are. This does have the double entendre title, subtitle like most of them did. I cannot remember if this is a port or if this is its own thing. But your typical 3D, third-person, action / run and gun kind of thing with some puzzle elements. I love the one on the PlayStation 4. I thought that was one of the most fun games I've ever played. And I really need to play through the one that's on the PS5, which I do own. Spoilers for the PS5 stream. So this is a kind of a thing too, where I had the sequel, like with printing, I had the sequel long before I had the original. I remember I found the sequel at half price books pretty early on in collecting, and I thought it looked really cool. So I picked it up, and then I found the first game at the exchange down the street. I do believe when I was hanging out with Captain Algebra one time when he came down to go game shopping. But these are third-person action / beat 'em ups, and they are Rengoku, the Tower of Purgatory, and the sequel. This one has a cool subtitle: Rengoku 2, The Stairway to Heaven, but heaven is an abbreviation for something. And hopefully it will tell me what that is on the back. It does not. I guess I got to play the game to find out. But as you can see on the backs, these are 3D beat 'em ups. So I'm pretty sure I'll get a kick out of these once I get around to playing them. Why I'm not playing them? You know what? I think tomorrow I'm just going to bring my PSP to work. Of course, I had to get this. I had the other games in the franchise on the PS3. This is one of the spin-offs they released on this console. That is Resistance, Retribution. So those are first-person shooters. The PS3, the first 3 games came out on the PS3. They are first-person shooters, and they are pretty fun. The first one's kind of like a basic bitch, but the other 2, they get a little more complex, and the story gets a hell of a lot better. But this one, because I'm assuming they're like, yeah, first-person shooters, how are we going to work that? They made it a third-person, like, cover-based shooter instead. It is a side story. You're not playing as the same character from the PS3 games, which is not a bad thing. It's kind of cool to see, like, a different angle about the war with the aliens. So I was not upset. And I remember I played this on my plane trip to California to visit my brother on the plane. So I was I cannot talk. I was having a lot of fun playing this on the plane. What's up, Retro? How's it going? What's up, Pat? Ooh, PSP games. Hidden gems. Dude, every time I go to a convention, and it happened this weekend too. I was saying last week on the first part that every time I go to a convention, a gaming convention, I find some PSP game that I've never heard of before. And right on cue, I did the first stream last Thursday, go to the convention over the weekend, found a PSP game I have never heard of before in my life, and it looks kind of awesome, so I picked it up. By the way, welcome, VGM. How's it going? Oh, Resistance? Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Picked this one up for like $2. I can't even remember where, but Ridge Racer, yay. Just a arcadey racing game from the Namco series. I still really enjoy the first game on the PS1. But yeah, this is just a generic racing game. The only reason I had it was because it was dirt cheap. I still haven't tried this, but I probably should because I absolutely love this series, and I'm curious how it works on this because there's no touch control, so I guess I got to use the face buttons. Whatever. And that is Rock Band Unplugged. I absolutely love Rock Band. Like, honestly, I would love for Mo Game Con next year that we bring like Rock Band and we sit there and we play frickin' Rock Band all night long because I have not done that in over a decade. And I absolutely love Rock Band. I used to have Rock Band parties all the time. Have not had one of those in quite a while, but absolutely love this franchise. So I had to have this, and I was curious what it would be like on portable. It looks like it has a decent song list. Doesn't have all of them listed, but 10 Doors Down, AFI, Alice in Chains, Billy Idol, Blink-182, Bon Jovi, Boston, Foo Fighters, Jackson 5, Modest Mouse, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, The Police, Weezer, The Who, and many more. But it looks like you can just pick whatever instrument you want to play for whatever song, and it just brings that up. I'm pretty sure it has a multiplayer component, too, where you hook it up to consoles. Oh, yeah, you can do it through Wi-Fi. So, yeah. Outrun 2 on PSP. Oh, shit. Kind of hate Rock Band Unplugged. Yeah, I have not tried it yet. They force you to play the whole band, so you have to actively switch to the other instruments. What? Oh, God, no, mandolin. No, please, no, please. Rip my ears off. Stick wax in the holes. I don't care. No. But I do have that crazy drum kit for rock that I bought when Rock Band 2 came out. The Ion drum kit, which like is you can disassemble it and reconfigure it however you want. I do have that sitting not 15 feet from me. So, and it's in a tub, so I could probably bring that with, and we could actually have a really cool Rock Band party. I say we do it. I've got the bass guitar, I've got the big guitar, I've got the keytar, I got the microphone, I got all that stuff, man. I got all of it. Here's one that I had no clue existed back when the console was first released, when I first had it in the early or the mid 2000s. And I found out about it after the fact when I got back into collecting in 2013. That is R-Type Command. I had no clue this was a thing, but it's like a strategy game and a shmup. So it's all about like taking like territory away from your enemy, like with these hexagonal squares and stuff, and then you have to do like a shooter stage in order to take it. It's really, really cool. What's it called? Star Fox Assault is kind of the same way. Is it Star Fox Assault? Star Fox Command on the DS is kind of the same, but thrilled to have that. When I saw that at the store, I was just like, where's this been all my life? I absolutely love R-Type. I like strategy games. You combine the two, boner. Next up we have Samurai Warriors State of War. This is one of the Musou. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I forgot. And this is the Samurai Warriors. So this is the Japanese ones instead of the Chinese fighters, the Chinese characters. This is all the Japanese characters. But yeah, beat 'em up game where just you against an entire army. Why not? I'm surprised that we did not get more of these games on the the portables. There's tons of them available on the PS2 and the Xbox and everything else after that. But I'm surprised we did not get more. There's one on the Game Boy Advance, which I have. There's one on the DS, and then there's that. But I don't know if there was anything else. Hot Pixel. Is that the one you? No, that's not. Is that what you thought Rock Band Unplugged was? And for some reason, I don't know why, Sony thought it was a good idea to take the Ratchet and Clank characters and split them up and give them their own games. And I don't think it worked because everybody complained. But we have Secret Agent Clank. So this is the one where he's on his own. And it's a third-person action game. But yay. I think this eventually got a port to... I know the Ratchet game came out on the PS2. And that's Unplugged or something, or Unlocked. I can't remember the name of it. But whatever. Sure, why not? And I need to bring these down to talk about this. So I got really lucky with these two things. So when I first got back into collecting, everybody was talking about this franchise. Didn't know anything about it. I was not really that big into RPGs back in the PS1, PS2 era. I had a couple, but I would never go out of my way to get one if it wasn't called Final Fantasy, that kind of thing. Got back into collecting. Everyone I know was talking about this franchise. So I bought one of the games on the DS, and I really liked it. So I was like, okay, so now I got to get the one that I hear everybody talking about. So there's like sub-series within the series. And this one sub-series is the one everybody likes. So I went to look for the PS1 games. I am not paying what is being asked for them, especially nowadays. There was no way. So I found out that there were ports to the PSP, so I actively started looking for those instead. And they were expensive as well, especially if you want to get the complete edition or like the limited edition or whatever these are. I got lucky because some dude was selling them both together as a lot. And it was way cheaper to buy them like that than it was to buy them separately. I want to say by buying them the way that I did, I saved probably $50. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it like this. And that's the only way I'm going to play these games. I'm never buying those ones on the PS1. And we're talking about Shin Megami Tensei Persona and Shin Megami Tensei Persona 2, Innocent Sin. So never played a Shin Megami Tensei game before any of these, except for the DS game that I had bought, and maybe a week before I bought these. And I really enjoyed that so much. And then everybody's always talking about Persona. So I'm like, well, I want to start at the beginning. Don't want to pay, $300 for a PS2 game. So get the cheap alternative. And from what I understand, there's quality of life improvements in these that make them better than the originals. And I have spent a lot of time playing the first one. I ended up playing this quite a bit, and it is a lot of fun. The characters are a little weird, especially the weird gothy guy with the earring. The dialogue that he has, just kind of half the time I'm like, huh? Like, what are you even talking about? But it's like a dungeon crawler RPG and a friendship simulator. It is really kind of cool. I was really getting a kick out of it. And it made me want to keep getting the other games. And I ended up getting all the other games in the franchise, not for this specific console. But I have at least all of the Persona games on consoles that I own. So I have all of them. Which also brings us to Persona 2 Innocent Sin, which I have not played because I still have not beaten the first game, but I will get to them eventually. So these limited editions or whatever they are come with like the Prinny set, the soundtrack. Should probably rip those. And this one has the soundtrack as well. Like I said, I got really lucky by buying this lot with both of them in the same set. So got the games here, Persona 2. Almost made them clank. But yeah, really fun RPG. Really, it's a cool twist to an RPG, I want to say. I think it makes it a little bit more engaging. You get a little bit more connected to the characters when you're doing the talking that you're doing between everybody. It's really cool. 3 through 5, very different but worth a play. But what would you do if I came to GameCon next year and you could actually play guitar? You freaking jam. Yeah, me and Captain Algebra carpooled to GameCon this past weekend. I have Persona 4 Golden on the Vita. I also do have it on the PS2. I have 3 on the PS2. I have 5 on the PS5. Come here. I got games to talk about. Okay, so I do think this is just a fighting game. Yeah. So Soul Calibur Broken Destiny. This one has Kratos in it, which is kind of awesome. I absolutely love Soul Calibur as a franchise. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Probably my second favorite franchise behind Mortal Kombat. I absolutely love just the characters are interesting. The story is kooky. Like, what fighting game doesn't have a kooky story? But just the fighting mechanics are super fun. You can play it strategic. You can button mash, and you'll probably have the same results. So it's a good beginner entry level fighting game, but it's absolutely fantastic. I still think that the original Soul Calibur is the game I played the most on my Dreamcast. But having it on the go, hells to the yeah. I do believe this isn't like a port, because Kratos wasn't in any of these games before. I think this is just an exclusive for the PSP, but absolutely had to have that. I chauffeured Cat back home. Yeah, I want to say we spent maybe out of the entire 5-hour trip, I think we talked for maybe a half an hour. Okay, so I got a story about these because of people not knowing what's up. So Star Ocean First Departure and Star Ocean Second Evolution. So this is a port or a remake of the Super Nintendo Star Ocean game, which is the first game in this franchise. The one that everybody remembers from the PS1 is actually the second game, which is a port of that. And this is the only way I'm going to be able to play it. I've had the opportunity to buy a repro of the Super Nintendo game multiple times, and I always passed on. I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with just this. But the thing is, I remember I have owned Second Evolution for the longest time, which is one of the first games I got on the PSP when I got back into collecting. And I've been searching for the first one forever. So one day I go to my half-price books, and they have both of these sitting in the expensive case. So I'm like, oh, I already have Second Evolution. I'll take the first one. Pursuit Force Extreme, you say? You mean that? I absolutely love Pursuit Force. That was one of the games I played the most on the PSP back in the day. So yeah, I asked the lady that had the keys to the case. I'm like, can I get that first departure? She's like, sure. She grabs the case, brings it up to the front. All the games are behind the counter at the register in little baggies. So the lady grabs the game, puts it in the case. I go home. I get home, and I'm like, all right, cool. I go to put it on the shelf, but I'm like, let me make sure that the disc isn't all scratched up. I probably should have done this at the store first. And I open it up, and the disc that's inside is Second Departure. And I was like, son of a bitch. So I get in my car. I drive back to the Half Price Books. And this is by my work, so this is like a good 20-minute drive. I go back to the store, and I'm like, you guys gave me the wrong game. And they're like, oh, we'll refund you. I'm like, no. This is the first game in the franchise. You had this and the second game in the franchise sitting side by side. Whoever, like the lady who put the game in the case, grabbed the game for the second game and put it in the first game. And they're like, first game, what? Second? What are you talking about? I'm like, there's two games. I was trying not to act like an a-hole, I'm like, you had the first two games in the case side by side. I bought the first game, but the lady put the second game in the case. So now you have a copy of the second game's case sitting in the expensive game case over there, and the first game is still sitting in your little shelf behind the counter. I'm like, can I just get the game? And they're like, hang on a second. So like they had to bring a manager out, and I'm standing there going like, how is this complicated? You gave me the wrong game, but you still have the right game in like the shelf thing. Give me the game. And it took like 15 minutes for them to get something. And someone's like, oh, so you bought the first game, but we gave you the second game. But we do have the first game in stock. I'm like, yes, you had part 1 and 2 in the case. I bought the first one, but you gave me the second. I'm like, so you have the case for the second game over there, and the first game that I bought is still in your shelf here, or your drawer here. They're like, oh, okay. Eventually I got it, and I walked out. I was like, Jesus, you guys. And they're like, oh, here's a coupon for 15% off next time you come in for your troubles. I was like, I'm going to a different store next time. So, yeah, ports of the first two games in the series. This one, obviously, the first game is a big upgrade because that was on the Super Nintendo or the Super Famicom, actually. Science fiction RPGs. I love science fiction. I'm kind of meh on the RPGs at the moment, but had to have those. Had to get this because of the franchise this is a part of, because it's one of my absolute faves. We've got Star Trek Tactical Assault. I also had this on the DS. They are the exact same game. This one is just a little bit better because of being on a disc. You've got better music. The graphics are a lot better. That's a Nintendo. The DS is a Nintendo 64. And this is basically like a PS2. So it's a starship combat game. It's kind of like the combat that you see in Star Trek Online, where the ship is able to be rotated and you have like markers around your ship that tell you your shield, where they're at, like if they're in the green or they're starting to get worn down or if they're about to fail, kind of thing. It's basically just a bunch of skirmishes. Yay. But it's fun. This is when Bethesda, old school Bethesda, had the Star Trek license. They're okay. PS Plus. Oh, by the way, hey, J Chip Show, how's it going? S Hat's in the house. Retro Coop. It's the year of the RPG, Chris. Yeah, and I have not been living up to the year of the RPG like at all. Star Ocean is equivalent to anime Star Trek, which means I will love it. I'm not kidding. I probably will. Had to have these because another franchise I'm a big fan of. We've got Star Wars Elite Squadron and Star Wars Renegade Squadron. So I had no clue that there were like dueling games like Pokemon for the PSP and Star Wars games, no less. So Elite Squadron is Battlefront, apparently. It's just portable Battlefront, but there's vehicle levels. Sure. And Renegade Squadron is from the Rebels' point of view. Sure. Looks like it has a story mode and all that. New battles. You get to pilot the Millennium Falcon. Hells to the yeah. And it looks like you're having the fight of Endor at there. That's pretty cool. Or is that Kashyyyk? I think it's Kashyyyk. But yeah, I have not spent a lot of time because just like what's it called, Battlefront on the Xbox, I never played it because I assumed it was online only. Got to collect all the clone soldiers. This one I have played. This was pretty awesome. It's an exclusive for the PSP, and it's Star Wars Lethal Alliance. No, this came out on the DS too, didn't it? I am mistaken. But this is a 3D action platformer where you're playing as a brand new character to the franchise, this Twi'lek with the boobs and her little robot sidekick. Why does everybody have to have a robot sidekick in Star Wars? Everybody. I don't get it. Just, can we get over that genre series cliche, not genre cliche at this point, but it's pretty fun. It's like playing Star Wars Tomb Raider. But I remember playing this when I first got it back in probably like 2014 or 2015, and it's actually really, really fun. The platforming is a little weird because it's like the original Tomb Raider. You have to be lined up properly in order to jump onto things and stuff. But outside of that, it's pretty fun. Oh, I didn't tell the story. Shit. Where is it? It was medieval. Speaking of, okay, so I should have brought it up when I talked about medieval, but another half-price books screw up. So apparently the lady who was running the register at the half-price books by my work did not know what a PSP game was and what it was supposed to look like or whatever. So when I bought Medieval Resurrection, which I talked about earlier in the stream, I brought it up to the counter, and like I said, all the games are behind the counter, right? So she goes into the counter, or goes behind the counter, goes into the drawer, pulls out the little baggie, pulls the game out, and proceeds to grab the plastic case and rip it apart. And then she grabs the disc and is sitting there going like, why won't this fit in the case? And I saw her do that, and I went like, what the? I screamed at her. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? And she's like, huh? I'm like, no. That little case is part of the disc. That's the disc. It needs to be there. Oh, that's interesting. How do I put it back together now? And I'm like, just give it to me. And I'm like, snapped it back together. I was like, God damn. I'm like, you trying to give me a heart attack? Oh, man. And the look on her face, like, she didn't talk to me the rest of the time I was being rung off. She was just kind of like, you owe me this much. Credit card. Have a nice day. I was like screaming at her. I'm like, what are you doing? You crazy lady. Just watching her rip the thing apart. I was like, oh, shit. Stubby. Play 3D GTA games at school? Yeah. PSP did have really good exclusives. I do have that cable, but for some reason, well, it didn't work on my old TV. I haven't tried it on my new one. I should probably try to hook it up through my RetroTink. You see if that does anything. Could the platforming have been better on the Vita with a dual analog? Excuse me, instead of the single analog. Yeah, anything platforming is better with dual analog sticks. For that version of Medieval isn't very good. I couldn't tell you. I have not played any Medieval games, so I couldn't compare it. Sony really missed the opportunity to take more advantage of making micro consoles for the PSP and doing more with the PS TV. See, I still need to get a PS TV. She's probably craving Oreos. I just want to get to the cream filling. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Get readjusted here. Oh, God. How's it going, everybody? So, moving on. I picked this one up maybe a year ago. And it's like what's it? Jesus Christ, what's it called? Battleship. It's called Steel Horizon. And basically what it looks like is just Battleship, the video game. And that sounds like a fun little time waster for me. So I picked this up, and I do believe, oh no, I picked this up in LA. Game Dude, hell yeah. It's even got the sticker on it. Jesus. Cool. I never took the sticker off. Oh, God. Pain. You guys are watching me stream, watching me peel stickers off games. Sorry. I'll get back to the games. This one is still sealed. I think I got this from the Square. Yeah, I got this from the Square Enix website sales that I was talking about in the DS streams, where all the games that I got rid of at Mo Game Con were from there. And this one is still sealed also, and that is Tactics Ogre. This one has the worst subtitle ever. Let us cling together. Because we're afraid to be alone. I have separation anxiety. But it's a tactics game. I have a few games in this franchise for various consoles. Have not played any of them, so haven't played this one because it's still sealed. So there's that. Oh, that one's worth the money. I'll trade next year. Yay! I can't remember where I got this. I remember I got this one not too long ago. Was it at Midwest Gaming Classic? It might have been. But Tekken Dark Resurrection. I'm not a huge Tekken fan. Like when it comes to like the big fighting franchises like Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur, Tekken, Street Fighter, Guilty Gear, Blaze Blue. Tekken's probably at the bottom of the list for me because it's way too technical and it's all about like countering all the time. And I was like, you know what? I just want to punch people in the face. I don't want to have to sit there and like count frames and all this kind of stuff. I just want to beat people up. So I'm not a huge fan of this franchise, even though I have a lot of games in the series. But I thought having one on the PSP would be kind of cool, just in case I got the itch to play one of these games. But Yoshimitsu is always my go-to character in these games because he is cheap as hell. Had to have this because I was talking about, I did a video way long ago on my channel with Captain Algebra and Commander Cockings from Trek Yards about, it was not that video. It was the one with Captain Foley where we talked about Transformers games because Transformers is his other passion outside of Star Trek. So he texted me when I was at Gen Con. Was it? Yeah, it was Gen Con. I was playing a Star Trek board game, surprisingly. And he texts me on Facebook and he's like, hey, I have an idea for a video we could do together on your channel. I'm like, what's that? He goes, Transformers video games. I'm like, okay, we'll make it happen. But once I get home from Gen Con. So I started buying up a bunch of other Transformers games in order to have stuff to talk about. Because at that point, I want to say I had maybe like 3 or 4 Transformers games. So I bought a bunch just in case I thought any of these were better than the ones I already had. And one of which was Transformers, the game. This is based off of the first Michael Bay movie. And I'm not sure if this is a direct port of the ones that came out on the PS3 and the 360 at the time, but it looks pretty close. And that's just like a 3D action beat-em-up style game. You do some racing, you do some flying, you can play the Autobots, and you can play as the Decepticons. They're 2 different like story modes. So, yeah. I have them on the PS3 also, so it's not a big deal. I had to get this because this is my franchise, and that is Tron Evolution. This one, unlike the DS Tron Evolution game, is a direct port of the console versions, which is a 3D platformer beat-em-up where you're playing as a new character in the franchise called Anon, who is kind of like a different version of Clue that Flynn is controlling. So it's after Flynn got stuck in the grid from Tron Legacy, but before his son came in. So it's like in between where the movie starts and the film ends. And you do come across a lot of the different characters from the movie. You do come across Cora and Clue and all that kind of stuff. So it's like I said, 3D platform beat 'em up, and there's also some light cycle racing in it. And I played the crap out. I beat the one on the PS3/360, and it's fantastic. I've not played much of the downgraded port yet, but I will do that eventually. Yeah, Tekken is a fighting series I'm into either. Yoshimitsu with his gosh dang sword. Yeah, he's the easiest character for me to play as because he's kind of like, he's always doing all the twisty, spinny moves, and I think he's kind of cheap. I used to play as, I can't remember the name of the guy. He had like the blonde spike head. But he's been in them since the beginning. Absolutely had to have this because this is one of my favorite gaming franchises. Twisted Metal Head On. Eventually, like this was an exclusive for the PSP, and then eventually there was a port to the PS2. And it is a very good Twisted Metal game, vehicular combat. A lot of the characters from the old games are in here again, and it's really, really fun. It's good to play these on the go. This is fantastic. I wish we had one on the Vita because that would have been awesome. Had to get this one also because I hear this is probably one of the best versions of this game. Captain Algebra. You're going to love this one. I watched the first episode of the show, J-Chip. It's really fun. It's surprisingly funnier than I thought it would be, but it's being played tongue-in-cheek, which I think is the correct way to go, especially when you got a character whose head is on fire. But Will Arnett plays the voice of Sweet Tooth, and it's kind of awesome. The only thing that really sucks is you have to upgrade Peacock in order to be able to watch the entire show. They give you the first show for free, but you have to pay in order to see the rest of the series, which is kind of crappy. But anyway, Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins. Like I said, everyone was telling me that this is the definitive version of the game, and it looks pretty awesome. I hear it's super fun and not nearly as difficult as the NES game, even though that's Ghosts and Goblins. Derp. Ghouls and Ghosts is the one that's the sequel. I get confused. Anyway, super awesome. Had to have that. Do I have both of these? I think there's another game in this series for this console I don't have, but we have Untold Legends, The Warrior's Code. There was a PS3 game in this franchise also, and this is a side story. It's not a port, I do believe. But it is a 3D beat-em-up. So I love me a good 3D beat-em-up, especially this one. This one kind of looks more like a dungeon crawler to me than a beat-em-up. But whatever. It says it's an action RPG, so maybe it is a dungeon crawler. Ooh. This is, I think, one of the first two games I bought for this console when I got back into collecting. That first day when I went, I made the decision, I'm going to start collecting video games again. And I had that big bag of stuff that I was going to take to half-price books and trade in for whatever games I found there. And I found Brave Traveler New Story and this at the same time. So these are the first two PSP games I bought when I got back into collecting. This one is Valhalla Knights. It's another RPG. I have not played this, so I cannot comment if it's good or not. But it looks kind of cool. Looks more like a beat 'em up than anything. Maybe it's an action RPG. Doesn't really say much about the game on the back, but I can't really comment. Also got this and this other game. So Valkyria Chronicles 2. I don't remember where I got this, but I hear this is one of the more sought-after games for this console. And this is the tactics action game. I do have one of these. I think I have the new one on the PS5 right now. So this franchise is still going strong. So had to get that. This is the one that everyone tells me is super collectible, and it's still sealed. I'm not sure if I'll get rid of it because I do want to play it at some point, but we're talking Valkyrie Profile Lenneth, and it's still sealed, and I actually put it in a protector. Maybe I'll have it WADA graded. But this one is an RPG, and I hear it's pretty awesome. Valkyrie Profile is on the PS1. The first game is on the PS1, and that one's pretty expensive, so... You need Valkyrie Chronicles 2. I don't even remember where I got it. Top tier PSP goodness. Cap, if you come to Chicago this month, to do the game hunting thing, we're gonna go to Video Games Then and Now, and they sell those PSP batteries. They're pretty cheap. I got my new one there the last time that was when the Q Dogs came to visit. They're going to get out in time for speaking of the cursed game. This is my streams, not Cap's streams. You know what I'm saying? That remake of the first Valkyrie Profile. I don't know. I can't. It says, as a Valkyrie of Norse legends, you must collect the souls of fallen warriors and prepare them to fight in the ultimate battle between gods. Stunning all new CGI cinemas. Yeah, maybe it is an upgraded version of the first game. Simultaneous 4-character control, a story of mythic proportions, devastating combination attacks. It says stunning all new CGI cinemas, so it makes me say that this might be a remaster or a remake of the first one. Next up we have Beautiful Joe Red Hot Rumble. I do believe this is a port of... I think the third one... This is the third game, sort of. I think it's on the GameCube. I don't know if it came out on the PS2 at all. But yeah, this is a port of the sort of third game. Yeah, Captain Blue is casting for the lead in his new action movie, and the competition is red hot. Fight head-to-head against your friends, whatever. I really enjoy the Beautiful Joe games. They're cel-shaded beat-em-ups, and they are super fun. It's like you're basically a stuntman in a movie, and you're taking part in a film. Because like between levels, you'll see like film stock effects, and you'll see like the holes that the projector latches onto, like the film stock is starting to like come loose and stuff like that. It's really cool the way they work it. I have not played this one yet, but I've played the first game extensively. And then, of course, because I keep finding games in this franchise, I had to have this, and that is Warhammer Battle for, what is it, Atluma? I know none of the lore of Warhammer or 40K or any of that kind of stuff. I know a couple of people who are, one of them I work with, but the thing about this one is it's not like some tactical RPG game or something like strategy game or anything like that. This is card battling. This is Magic the Gathering Warhammer Edition, which I thought was very strange. I did not know that there was, I don't know if there is actually a Warhammer card game out there, but we've got a digital version of it. So sure. And Warhammer 40K Squad Command. So the weird thing is I'm always seeing an import version of this at my usual half-price books. Like they've had it there for years, and they can't seem to get rid of it. Probably because they're charging a lot of money for it just being an import. And then I find this for like $10 at a different half-price books or whatever. This is the strategy game RPG that I thought the other Warhammer game was going to be. So this looks like Ultima. And very complicated at that. So I don't foresee myself playing that one anytime soon. But I guess I'm collecting all the Warhammer games. Basically, there's the hammer that started a war, and now people are fighting over it. Peter, I don't know if Warhammer's a Magic the Gathering spinoff. No one. I have friends who are like deep into it. They've never said that to me. This one I had to get because of the name. I don't even know if there is a first game in this franchise, but I'm definitely going to try looking it up at some point. But I still haven't played this, and I think it is a puzzle game. But it is called What Did I Do to Deserve This, My Lord 2. What did I do to deserve this, my Lord 2? I saw this, I think, when Captain Algebra came to visit, and we went to my local exchange down the street. And I saw this in the case, and I didn't really think anything of it. And then I remember, like, a day later, I was like, wasn't there a game with, like, a really bizarre name at the exchange? And I was like, I went back, and I was like, yep, it's still here. I'll take it. And even the guy at the register was like, what the hell is this? And it looks like a puzzle-style game. So I have not played it. I probably should. Maybe I'll play it tonight. I don't know. No, I'm probably going to play more Parodius. So had to have that. Had to have these too because I love this franchise. This is one of my favorite franchises, and because of the whole Psygnosis thing that I was doing on my channel a long time ago. So we've got Wipeout Pulse and Wipeout Pure. I do believe Pulse is the one that got the port to the PS2 after the fact, and Pure didn't. But if you ever played a Wipeout game, futuristic hover car racing, like F-Zero to the extreme. Super awesome soundtrack with some really rad electronic music. And I've always loved this franchise since the first game. The first game was one of the games on the PS4, the original PlayStation, that like really, really made me say, "Now this console's onto something." Like Battle Arena Toshinden, I was like, all right. Jumping Flash, yeah, that's cool. Doom, yeah, but like Wipeout was the first time I had ever played anything quite like that. And I was like, I'm now a fan, and I always will be. So Wipeout, one of my favorite franchises, had to have both of those. Psygnosis develops them. I don't think they were called Psygnosis anymore at this point. I think they were Sony Liverpool. Yeah, Sony Liverpool. And I don't think they're even in existence anymore. And that's some BS. Oh, was that not right? No, Peter, no. Had to have this because I love this franchise, but I don't think this one. Oh, no, this is old school style. Okay, I thought that. Why was I thinking this was like one of the 3D ones? Anyway, Worms Open Warfare. I love Worms. It's a great multiplayer game. basically you're just on a stage with some obstacles in front of you. You're one team of 4 worms, and there's another team of 4 worms, and everybody has the same kind of weapons, and it's just take out the other team. And it's like this comical war game. Like you have these weird rockets that, catch the air for some reason. Grenades. You can throw sheep. You can do a Hadouken. It's super fun when you're playing multiplayer with other people. There was a 3D version, or there was a bunch of 3D games that came out like in the PS2 Xbox era that I did not like at all. Like taking it out of 2D kind of ruined it. But I thought this was going to be one of the 3D ones. And I looked at the back. I'm like, no, that is 2D. That's exactly what it's supposed to look like. So I think I'm going to like this one. I haven't played it yet, obviously. Had to get this one. This is one of those weird games I found at a convention that I'd never heard of before. I got this at Midwest Gaming Classic last year in 2022. And I remember I was at this one booth, and I think it's the one that... I think it's Press Start. It's in Wisconsin. I think it's the one in Appleton. They're the ones that I bought a couple of 3DO games from them this year. Their thing is at the conventions, their pricing is if you're paying with credit card, it's this price. If you're paying with cash, it's like $3 or $4 less. So I remember I went to their booth and I saw this and I'm like, what is that? And there was a guy next to me at the table who was also going through the PSP games. And he was just like going through, and he had one box and I had one box of them. And I'm looking through my box and I find this and I pick it up. He like slides over and he goes, "What is that?" And I go, "I don't know, but I'm buying it because obviously I've never heard of it before." And it's called WTF. It's not the curse. It's work time fun. So if you've ever played Incredible Crisis, which is like a bunch of mini games that have to do with like being at work, it's the same kind of thing. It's like playing a bunch of little mini games like WarioWare that are very Japanese. So I absolutely had to have this because it's just bizarre as all hell. Make the cat blink. Right there. Yep, that's the thing. And there's wrestling. So I had to have that. And that guy that was next to me at the table was like super bummed that I bought it. Had to get this one. I think this is also available on the DS, but I wanted to get the PSP version. I remember I got this at one of the earlier Midwest Gaming Classics. That is Yggdra. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Yggdra Union Will Never Fight Alone. Another really stupid subtitle. And this is an RPG as well by Atlas. And it looks like there's a lot of like army battling, but I have not tried this yet because RPG. And RPGs require time, and time is something I don't have. And the last game I'm going to talk about is action RPG, and that is Ys, Ark of Napishtim. I really do like Ys. I played extensively the first one on the Turbo CD. I absolutely love that game. So naturally, I start to enjoy that game. I want all the games in the franchise. I have not gotten all the games in this franchise. It's going to be impossible because a lot of them cost a lot of money. But yeah, action RPG, where it's kind of like a 3D beat 'em up, but with RPG elements, which is awesome. So it's like Legend of Zelda-esque, but absolutely love the franchise. I do want to get them all. It'll probably never happen though. So that is that. So that is it for my PSP collection. Like I said, I did add 3 new ones this past weekend at MoGameCon, which is awesome. But like I said, none of them are here. Every one of them happens before the games I talked about here in the alphabet. Anyway, so let's have a talk. So I found out now that the issue with my channel name has now extended to my thumbnails. Excuse me. So originally, the reason I kept getting demonetized was because I had my channel name in the title of the video or stream or whatever it was I was releasing, and also in the description of said video. So I started removing all of them. For about a week, it was working okay. Nothing I was releasing was getting demonetized. And then in the stream I just did on Monday for the MoGameCon got demonetized. What was it? Tuesday. And I contacted YouTube again, and I was chatting with them in the little window thing, and I'm like sitting there going like, what the hell is going on? Why are all my videos getting demonetized? I've been trying to curbing the swearing, but you say it's never the swearing I'm doing in the videos that's doing it. You keep on saying it's something in like the titles and descriptions, and then they did the whole thing all over again, where they're like, there is something in your titles, your description, or your thumbnails that is considered not safe for all audiences. And I'm like, well, I got rid of the thing that's in the titles. I've gotten rid of the thing in the description. I'm like, you can read that. I mean, you're really taking into account that really janky font that I use for my title or my channel name in the thumbnails. I'm like, really? Apparently so. I haven't even been saying my channel name in the videos, if you've noticed. I've just been saying, hey, it's Chris. So I don't even want to use my my bumpers that I use at the beginning of every video anymore. Like, Peter, can we like revamp the splash pages that you made for me that the stream is going to begin soon kind of thing with like a new name? Because I think I'm going to have to go with Midlife Crisis Media, which is the name that I was thinking I was going to change it to still kind of get across the old man thing, but not have any curse words in it. Curse words. An ass is a donkey. So yeah, it looks like I'm gonna have to go through with the rebrand. So Old Ass Retro Gamer is gonna be going bye-bye. I already changed the name of my channel on Twitch because the only thing I really stream there is the D&D stuff. So I've made a name for the D&D group that I'm in, and now it's called StatBlock20. So if you want to watch the streams for D&D, my YouTube, my Twitter, mouth not working. My Twitch channel is now twitch.tv/StatBlock20. All one word. So I changed that today. And probably next week I'm going to change the name of this channel. So it's not going to be Old Ass Retro Gamer anymore. Yeah, all of yours would be demonetized too. So they just don't like my channel name. So I'm going to have to like rebrand completely starting next week. You'll always be an old ass to me. Oh. So yeah, I'm thinking I'm going to go with Midlife Crisis Media so I can talk about the movies, and I can talk about the games, and I can talk about the D&D stuff here. And now people don't have an excuse to say, well, your channel name is Old Ass Retro Gamer, but you're not talking about retro games. Now it's going to cover everything. So kind of good for me too. Because sometimes I just get sick about talking about games, I want to talk about some movies or something else. So that's going to happen. So I didn't want to have it happen, but it's like they're not really giving me a choice. It's like if I want to keep my videos monetized, I have to adapt, which is what's going to happen. But yeah, that's it for tonight. I'll be back next Thursday for whatever next console is in the lineup. I can't remember which one comes next in the timeline because I'm trying to go in order of console release. I'm thinking it's Xbox 360, I think. And that's going to be a long series of streams. I'm telling you right now. So I'll also be the new episode of Tides of Flame. My D&D campaign is going to be on my Twitch channel. So now you got to go to a new channel. It's the same one. It's just now the name is different. So it's twitch.tv/StatBlock20. So that's on Saturday at 5:30 p.m. Central. We're doing that. It's probably going to be a good long 5-hour stream. It's going to be super fun. I've been prepping this for 2 months. We haven't been able to play a game in 2 months. The schedules just did not line up at all for 2 straight months. So it's about to go down. And like I said, I'll be back next Thursday for the next Video Game Collection 2023 stream. So I will talk to you all later. I could probably parody the MGM logo. Tonight I'm actually going to work on a new logo. So have a good night, everybody. Stay safe out there. I'll talk to you later. Chris, the Old Ass Retro Gamer, out. Have a good night. Comes to Midlife Crisis Media. Is it?
Oh, God, it's so good.
Not so.